This is an issue that a lot of people have been waiting for. The Librarian in Terminator armor is definitely a character that people were looking at in the list of all the bits we're getting and going, yes, I want that issue. So we're finally there. In the grim darkness of the far future, we're at issue 10 of Combat Patrol. Let's take a look at it. Ladies and gentlemen, we are once again out on Combat Patrol. So, this is one that a lot of people have been looking forward to because the Librarian and Terminator armor, which we have here, retails for about £26. This magazine is $9.99, so that is incredible value for money. If you want a couple of Librarians and Terminator armor, get a couple of issues and you save yourself money. It's basically buy two for even less than the price of one if you go to Games Workshop. It's that kind of value. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what's in this issue. First of all, we have this basing brush, which is quite a solid brush. I kind of don't know how to use that. It's not a type of brush I'm familiar with, even though I am an artist, but I normally do digital art, so I'm not fully up on my brushes. So yeah, I'll look forward to the painting guide that explains what this is for and how to use it, because even though I've painted a lot of miniatures, I don't know how to use that, so I'm looking forward to seeing what that is. Then we have the Librarian himself. It's not a complex piece. He's fairly straightforward to put together, but even so, he looks damn good once he's done, so I'm looking forward to trying to put that together later on. Succeeding in putting that together later on. There we go. What a nice model. That is a chunky dude, and I like it. Yes. Then we have the issue itself. Nice image. He looks very much like Perturabo there, with all the wires going into his head. Interesting comparison there. He's got the wires up, but when you see him, his helmet is down, or at least his head plate is down. So interesting decision there from the artist. We've got the editorial, always good to have a read of that. And then straight in with the building guide on how to build the Librarian. So yeah, that's a nice one. I like the Librarian model. He's got a lot of detail. He's really chunky. He's got a good feel to him. And all in all, I think that's a hell of a model. I'm going to enjoy adding him to my set. I've already got one, so now we've got two to play with, and let's see how we get on. Now we're looking at how to paint him. Base coat in blue. I would not have done that. I'd have done a base coat in black, but that's just me. Your mileage may vary. Following the rules on here is perfectly fine. And saying base coat in blue, then highlight in black with the extra bits. Yeah, that works too. And then using the Retributor armor again. Again, I would have gone with a slightly less ostentatious Balthazar Gold, which has a more brassy, bronzy look to it. I think it looks better for the Marines because it has that slightly less clean and shiny thing. It's slightly more dirty, slightly more gritty. But again, your mileage may vary. And explaining how to do all the other bits with the different paintings. Looking good, and the story so far comes out very nice, and it gives you a really good look at how chunky and excellent these guys are. So yeah, that's pretty good. I like the paint guides. They're very good, very straightforward. Even kids can follow this stuff. It's going to be good for them. And also, notice here, they've got a little bit of overpaint. Not really overpaint, but it's coming onto it a little bit on the skull. So I like that because it shows you right from here that even the experts are going to overpaint a little bit, and you can just paint straight over it. Excellent. Then we got the reading section, which is about the ecclesiarchy this time, which I always find a little ironic considering the emperor did not want to be viewed as a god, and yet here he is. So yeah, that's quite nice. It's got the various bits about that. More on the Space Marines. Really nice stuff. There's a lot to read here and a lot to enjoy. Oh, here we go. And then the various bits and pieces. Here we go. So we've got a Ballistus Dreadnought, Storm Talon Gunship, and the Repulsor Executioner. I do like the Dreadnoughts. Big stompy lads. Love them on the battlefield. Looking forward to the premium set when we get that. So, yeah. Looking pretty good for that. Librarian in Terminator armor has his data stuff next. We've got the chance to get some background and then his data sheets on the other side. We'll talk about that in a moment. Let's have a look at this. Again, don't have any dice with me because they're all in a box. So we're just going to pick that one. So 1 or 2. This librarian has memorized his chapter's entire history. Nerd! And here's a living repository of vital tactical advice who often councils generals. That's a nice thing. He's a battle nerd. I like that. That's good. So let's have a look at his data sheet. So we've got his abilities here. His core has deep strike and leader, so he can deep strike into enemy territory, and he's got an ability of Veil of Time. While this model is leading a unit, weapons equipped by models in that unit have the Sustained Hits 1 ability. That's interesting. Again, we haven't been told about what abilities are yet. That's coming later, but I like that it's here and that it's all interesting. Then we've got a bit on dual profile weapons, because we've got different things that he can do. He's got his Storm Bolter, but he's also got Witchfire Smite and a Focused Smite, which has Devastating Wounds, Hazardous, and is Psychic. So let's have a look at what it says about dual profile weapons. Some weapons, such as the Librarian Smite, have 2 profiles. These can represent different firing modes of a weapon, or in a Librarian's case, the warrior channeling more power into a psychic ability. You must choose which profile a weapon is using before you fire it, and you may only use one profile to shoot with per turn. This again is different to Age of Sigmar, which says if you have more than one weapon available, you attack with them all. This is saying you choose, which is probably why we've got these things here. Before selecting targets for this weapon, select one of its profiles to make attacks with. So that's what the marker is. So you choose one of those. That is very good. I like that. That is interesting. And it's good to hear a bit about it. Now, we're going to get some further information because we've got bits of weapon abilities. So, pistols. Many warriors in the 41st millennium carry a sidearm, allowing them to engage the enemy at close range. These weapons have the pistol keyword. Pistols can be fired even when the firer is within engagement range. Remember what we were mentioning in episode 9, where we're talking about firing into a melee? Well, pistols allow you to fire while you're in the melee, which is very useful. You can fire even when you're in engagement range. So that's good. However, if this is the case, they can only target the units that are within engagement range of them. So you can't fire out of the melee, but if you're in a scrum, yeah, whip out your pistol, you can still fire at the people in front of you. That is good news, because you've still got a shooting phase along with your fight. That is good stuff. A unit cannot fire pistols and other weapons without the pistol rule in the same turn. They must choose which they wish to use. Rapid fire is interesting as well. Some weapons are capable of unleashing storms of deadly firepower when the enemy is close. These weapons have the Rapid Fire X rule. Do we have one of those? Rapid Fire 2 on his Storm Bolter. So here we are. Rapid fire weapons fire additional shots when they are within half their maximum range. The number of additional shots is denoted by the number X. So for example here, we have Rapid Fire 2 and a range of 24 inches. So if we're at 12 inches, exactly like this, a Storm Bolter has a 24-inch range, an attacks characteristic of 2, and the Rapid Fire 2 rule. This means that it makes its normal number of 2 attacks when further than 12 inches away, or if you're within 12 inches, you can now make 4 attacks. So that's worth it. If you're close by, absolutely unleash Rapid Fire, but you have to remember to do it, because your opponent is probably going to not remind you. It's one of those things. Now here's an interesting thing. Look at this. Captain in Terminator armor, that is gold. Whereas Librarian in Terminator armor, that is brass. So that's Retributor armor, and that's Balthazar gold. So they're showing you the different versions. Like I said before, let me zoom in this. Like I said before, Balthazar gold has a much more brassy, bronzy, dirtier look to it than Retributor armor, which is very, very clean. So if you're going for a dirty, gritty, grimdark style, I would go for Balthazar gold rather than Retributor armor. But if you want someone that's clean and like elite and stuff like that, yeah, definitely go for Retributor armor. So there you are. So let's have a look at what else we've got in this weapons ability. Then we have Blast. Oh, this is good. Some weapons fire fragmenting munitions that are especially deadly against massed infantry. This is represented in the game by the Blast rule. Blast weapons get more attacks against units with more models in them. For every 5 models in the target unit, add 1 to the attacks characteristic of the weapons. So that's interesting. We've got here, the Barb Launcher has Blast and Heavy, so we're talking about Blast here. So Barb Launcher firing against a unit of 5 Infernus Marines gains 1 additional attack because there's 5 in the unit. So D6 plus 1 attacks rather than D6. Each Barb Launcher firing would get an additional attack in this way. There's a lot here to learn, yes, but we're getting there with it, and it's quite interesting. So do we have devastating wounds on any of these? Devastating wounds on smite, but only for focused witchfire. So if you're using a focused smite, its strength is higher, its armor penetration is bigger, its damage is still D3, but it's devastating wounds. So that might be the worth actually using in a lot of circumstances. So that is interesting. Then we got Psychic. In the nightmarish world of the far future, some weapons draw on the dark power of the warp, a realm of raw psychic energy. These weapons have Psychic as their keyword. Psychic weapons can only be used by Psychers, for example, the Librarian. Psychic weapons have no inherent additional effects, but other weapons and abilities can interact with them. So that's basically them telling us, keep an eye out, more rules are coming. Okay, I can go with that, that is cool. Now we're going to put some of that into practice with Scenario 6, Mind over Matter. A freak warp storm has engulfed the war zone the Tyranids and Space Marines are fighting over, disrupting communication for the Space Marines and the Tyranids. So this is excellent stuff. We've got a Librarian in Terminator armor, and just to show how hard this guy is, he's next to some Von Ryan's Leapers. There's a Tyranid Prime here, and some Termagants. He's on his own against all of that. That's how tough this guy is. So, let's have a look at what they suggest we do. We're going in for move, shoot, charge, and then fight. Yep, the Von Ryan's Leapers are a deadly threat, so the Space Marine players prioritizes them as a target. The Librarian injures the Von Ryan's Leapers with Smite before closing in to finish the job with a well-timed charge. The Von Ryan's Leapers are all slain. That's a pretty good move. Then we got a battle tip. If faced with multiple enemy units, it is best to direct your attacks against the unit that is the greatest threat to the Librarian. Here's a suggested priority order. Winged Tyranid Prime, Von Ryan's Leapers, and Termagants. Yeah, Termagants have got 1 wound each. You can blast through them like that. But the other guys, they're going to put up a fight. So yeah, I like this. So, let's see how it goes down on the battlefield. Welcome back to the kitchen, because the game room still has a Christmas tree in it. And also welcome to the most unfair version of the game we've had so far, because in this particular game we have 3 Von Ryan's Leapers, a Winged Tyranid Prime, 10 Termagants, and 1 Librarian. Yes, I know he's basically the Darth Vader of the Space Marines, but he's one guy against a lot. This is going to be remarkably unfair. So let's set out a marker to tell us what round it is. And we'll put it there, round 1. And as always, we're going to roll off to see who goes first. As always, blue for the Space Marines, purple for the Tyranids. Space Marines go first. So, let's see how we would want to do this. So, the Von Ryan's Leapers, they're going to want to get us into melee as quick as possible, but we do have a Storm Bolter, so we can still fire. And we have the Rapid Fire. Now, I have failed to remember Rapid Fire in the past, but it gives us extra shots when we get in half of its distance. So, if we're in melee and we're using a pistol, we might be okay, but he's going to be using his force weapon anyway. But if we get close, we are going to be using rapid fire. However, we do have some other issues, because we have Smite of Witchfire, which is an excellent ability. It's a psychic one with a range of 24 inches and d6 attacks. Or we can have Focused Witchfire, which has devastating wounds and psychic damage, but it is hazardous, so it will hurt us. But it is harder. It is more powerful and does have an armor penetration on it, so there is that. It's worth it in certain circumstances. What I'm going to do, because of the amount of people we have here, the Von Ryan's Leaper has a 10-inch move, the Winged Tyranid Prime has a 12-inch move, but the Termagants only have 6 inches, and we have a 5-inch move, so we can't get out of the way of most of these guys. But we can make it harder for the Termagants to get within range of us. So I'm going to do, first things first, we're going to move. We're going to have a 5-inch move, and we're going to move to here. And the only reason we're doing that is because it makes it harder for the Termagants to get into position. So let's put that back there. That's round 1. That's our round 1 marker. The only reason I've done that is that takes these Termagants down here out of the way of this guy. They have a harder time getting to him, and we can keep moving around. So we've moved. We're now going to shoot. And I think it's obvious that the biggest threat right away is the von Ryan's Leaper. Because the Tyranid Prime hasn't got a chance of getting into position just yet. Well, actually, technically it does. It has a 12-inch move, so it can get close, but it won't be able to get within charge range. So, for the moment, these are our biggest threat. I say ours. These are his biggest threat. Let's do this. We're going to use... we're not going to use the Focused Witchfire just at this point. We're going to use Smite, which is a psychic damage, and it has D6 attacks. So let's find out how many attacks he gets. He gets 2. That's not great, but we'll go with it. D6 attacks, so 2 attacks. He gets a ballistic skill of 3+, so he hits on a 3+. Let's do this. He is hit with 1. His strength is 5 against the Leaper's toughness of 5, so he wounds on a 4+. He's wounded. Got a 6. And the armor penetration is -1, which means that their saving throw is now 5+. So that's nice. They've saved. They're safe. That is shocking. Okay. I did not expect that. Now here's the biggest issue we've got. Do we want to charge an attack? They're definitely going to charge. So do we do it? We're going to end up in attack range anyway. So I'm going to take the termagants out of the shooting phase by charging. Let's do this. We might as well. Right, let's do this. See what happens. We need 6 inches. We can probably do this. 6-inch attack. Yeah, we've got that. Okay, let's go. We're attacking. Let's do it. We've run in, but they've got fights first. Oh, that's not great. But only one of them's within combat range, so we're going to do this. He gets 6 attacks. 6 attacks with a weapon skill of 3, so that doesn't hit. But he gets 4 hits. He has a strength of 5 against the Librarian's toughness of 5, so he wounds on a 4+. That's better than the previous game, where he was doing a lot more damage. Wounds on a 4+. He doesn't wound at all. Right, now it's time for the Librarian. Librarian has a force weapon, which is an axe, and he gets 4 attacks. He wounds on a 3+. He hits on a 3+ even, so 2 hits have got through. Okay, 2 hits have got through. Strength of 6 against a toughness of 5, so he wounds on a 3+. That is a good wound for him. And both have managed to get through. Armor penetration of -1 on a saving throw of 4+, so now they save on a 5+. They saved on 1, but the other got through. Now here's the best part. The Librarian's damage rating is D3, so we roll a D6 to see what we get. 2, which means he gets 1 damage. But that's pretty good, because immediately the von Ryan's Leapers are down by 1 damage point. End of the Space Marine's first turn. So, of course, we have an issue now, don't we? Because these termagants can't shoot. Kind of takes their main thing out. So, they're going to have to move to try and have any chance of doing anything. They have a 6-inch move, which means they get to move to... Yeah. That was the worst thing. That was the worst kind of move I could have done. They are tessellated, so let's try and get them back into order. That could have been done much better, but I didn't because I wasn't really thinking it through. Oh dear. So they're here now. They've moved. They can't shoot because they have no way of shooting into melee. It's not one of their abilities. So let's now move the Winged Tyranid Prime. He's got a 12-inch move. So he gets to fly right over to here. Nice. Okay, so now they're coming into play. I'm going to move this out the way to over here. Because no one's shooting. They can't shoot. It's not actually possible for anyone to shoot properly. Let's move this camera around a little bit so you guys can see everything that's going on. Not really possible for them to shoot. But they could charge. So the Winged Tyranid Prime is now going to charge. And let's see how this goes. They're going to need a 8-inch charge to get into position. He doesn't make it, so his charge fails. He's stuck out there. He doesn't get to charge in. Termagants, they would need a 9-inch charge to be able to get into position. Really, we could do with a 12-inch charge to make sure that the back ones can get in. They don't get it. They've only got 8. So they're out. The only ones that are fighting are the Librarian and the Von Rheinsliepers. So let's consolidate. We get 3-inch movement to consolidate. That can definitely get him to there. Could a 3-inch, move that round, get this guy round here? Just, only just. He's there. Right. They're all fighting. And they get fights first anyway, so it doesn't matter. So that's 18. 18 attacks. They they hit on a 3+. 13 hits, that's pretty good. So, their strength is 5 against a toughness of 5, so they wound on a 4+. 6 wounds, that's not bad at all. Armor penetration of -1 with a saving throw of 2+, so now he saves on a 3+. Let's see if he can do it, because let's face it, he hasn't got that many wounds. And we don't want him to die in round 1. So he saves, 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 saves and saves. 1 managed to get through, damage of 1. The Librarian has 5 wounds, so there we go. He's got 4 left, not bad. End of turn 1. So round 1. Now on to round 2. So it's the Librarian's turn. The first thing we're going to do is fall back. We're going to fall back specifically to keep those guys and those guys out of combat for as long as possible. So we're going to move 5 inches. We're doing a fallback. Means he can't shoot this turn, but he can fight once the next guys come in. So we're going to fall back. We're going to do it as much as we can. So let's angle this and go to here. Now he can't shoot and he can't charge, but he's out of combat. That will be able to get him, unfortunately, on the next move, but they can't, and that's the point. We're keeping as many of them out of fighting as long as we can. That is his move. We've reduced the amount of the Tyranids that can now get him. So that's the end of his round. Tyranid's turn now. So first things first, let's say, well, Winged Tyranid Prime is going to move 12 inches. It can't move 12 inches, it's going to move 10 inches so that it's not within engagement range of them, because it can't move into engagement range. It's one of the rules. It can then charge later. These guys, they're going to move to be within an inch, and these guys are also going to move, but they can only move 6 inches. So let's do this. Right, movement phase over for the Tyranids. So, is anyone shooting? Well, Termagants have a range of 18 inches. Unfortunately, they can shoot. No one's in engagement range. That was a bad move, but it did keep us out of the fighting alive a little bit longer. So let's do this. They get 1 attack per guy, which means 10 attacks. And they hit on a 4+ because they're not very good. I say not very good, they still managed to get 6 attacks. Okay, 6 hits. Their strength is 5 against Librarian's toughness of 5, so they wound on a 4+. Down to 4 wounds. Not bad. So, armor penetration of 0, which means he gets a 2+ save. Let's do this. He has saved every single one. He is fine. Okay, shooting phase over. Charge. Sorry, I keep trying to pick up the turnaround. They would need a 12-inch charge to even get to him, so it's not going to happen. But, let's see. He needs a 2-inch charge. Winged Tyranid Prime is racing in. 2-inch charge. He's got it. He is now within a position to fight. They would get priority in the fighting phase because he does not have fights first. Tyranids, von Rhinesleepers also need a 2-inch charge. They get it. Consolidate around. And this is why the Termagants, I don't believe, can get a proper charge. I'm just going to stand that on the base there. They're going to need a 10-inch charge to get the chance to consolidate around the back. If they can get it, I'll be amazed. They did not get it. What a shame. What a shame. They'd actually need 12 because they've got to get within engagement range. So we're okay. Right. Von Rhinesleepers have fights first. They get 6 attacks each, which means 18 attacks. And they hit on a 3+. 11 hits. Not bad. Not bad at all. So they have a strength of 5 against toughness of 5. So they wound on a 4+. Let's see how this goes. 7 potential wounds. That's not bad. So 7. And they have an armor penetration of -1 onto the Librarian's 2+ save. So he saves on a 3+. Let's see if he can save against all these devastating wounds. The answer is no. He's taken 3 extra damage because they have a damage of 1 and 3 wounds. So he's now on to 4 wounds. He only has 5. He's pretty much dead. This is not going well for the Librarian, but it's his turn and he gets 4 attacks with his melee weapon and a weapons skill of 3+, so he hits on a 3+. 2 of them missed. Strength of 6 against toughness of 5, so he wounds on a 3+. 1 of them wounded, and his armor penetration is -1, so their save now on the Von Rhinesleepers is 5+. They don't make it. He gets D3 wounds. 3, so he gets 2 wounds. 1 of them goes to that guy, he's dead. 1 of them will now go to this guy, meaning he has 2 wounds left. The Librarian is almost down, but he's not out. But now the Winged Tyranid Prime comes in, and he gets 6 attacks. His weapon skill is 2+, and he is hit with every single attack. Strength of 6, toughness of 5, he wounds on a 3+. The Librarian is going to be very, very, very lucky if he gets through this. So he has armor penetration -1 onto the saving throw of the Librarian of 2+, so saves on a 3+. Can the Librarian withstand and fight another round? Yes, he's saved on every single one. Whoa! Okay, that's the end because these guys can't fight. So round 3, Librarian is up. We're not going to move this time. We're just going to bed in and fight. Librarian is going for the Von Rhinesleepers. Why is he going for the Von Rhinesleepers over the Tyranid Prime? The Tyranid Prime has a lower weapons skill, so he hits on a lower rating. But the Von Rhinesleepers have more attacks, so they've got a higher chance of hitting. We need to take them down. Let's do this. 4 attacks, hitting on a 3+. 1 didn't hit. So we've got 3 hits. Weapons strength is 6 against Von Rhinesleeper's toughness of 5, so he wounds on a 3+. 2 did not wound. 1 got through. Armor penetration -1 onto their save of 4+, which means they save on a 5. They saved! Oh my goodness, they've managed it, and that is the end of his turn. Now it's over to the Tyranids. Once again, Termagants are going to move. 6-inch move. They still have a problem. They're going to need to charge 6 and then another 4, so 10, just to get within melee range. They're going to need a charge like that. They can't shoot, so we are up to charge phase. So on 2d6, they need a 10 just to charge. They got a 9. They can't make it. Although they could get through the middle and get 1 person there, perhaps. It's not going to work for them. So I'm going to say they failed the charge. So we're now to the fights phase. Well, Von Rhinesleepers fight first. There's 2 of them left, so they get 12 attacks. They wound on they hit on a 3+. 5 of their attacks got through. So with a strength of 5 against toughness of 5, they wound on a 5 and a 4+. 2 wounds. Armor penetration -1 on saving throw of 2+, so the Librarian and Terminator armor will save on a 3+. He saved on 1. The damage is 1. He had 1 wound left. The Librarian is down. He survived longer than I expected, and let's face it, I probably could have run that better, but at the end, Tyranid victory. Okay, that was pretty good actually. I enjoyed that. We got more on how the Tyranids would move. They're flying over and charging. Player versus player. Oh, I like it. They're now suggesting, yeah, give it a try against a friend. I like that. So yeah, altogether, that's a pretty good mission. I really enjoyed it. But of course, we did get a Tyranids victory, so we've got to look into that now. So let's see what it is. As the Librarian attempts to channel more psychic power, the hive mind directs a portion of its psychic might, Tyranids are psychic as well, remember, to defeating him. Momentarily distracted, the Librarian attempts to shake off the hive mind's influence, only to be brought down in a wave of slashing claws and gnashing envenomed fangs. Ooh, that's tough stuff. And then that's pretty much it. We've got the bit at the back of the sheet. As before with issue 11, we did talk about last episode. The 2 paints, a lot of people are going to say not value for money. They are good paints though. Corax White is a hell of a colour, and so is Lead Belcher, which is great for your weapons. I'm going to reserve judgment until I see what's actually in the magazine, because the magazines are where a lot of the value is coming from in several of these issues. So far I've enjoyed it, but we'll wait and see. And then we got issues 12 and 13. We know the Terminators are coming. Are they going to screw up the same way they did with the Termagants and have no bases and then bases? We'll have to wait and see. That is the Leviathan cover from the rulebook. I just noticed they are reusing some art. That's also reused art. It's starting to look like they're starting to run out of some ideas, or perhaps they've put the covers together at the last minute and don't really care because most people are going to look at the inside rather than the covers. Either way, I'm going to wait and see and reserve judgment. For now though, great issue. Lots of good information in this. I really liked this one. This was a definite thumbs up. Okay, there you go. I think that was actually a pretty good issue. I enjoyed the mission. The Librarian and Terminator arm is pretty damn good, even if I have kind of messed up his leg in the colour scheme I'm going for my Heart of Albion Space Marines Legion. They are Ultramarines based anyway, so they've got a red shoulder pad and a white shin guard to differentiate them from base Ultramarines, but with the extra delicate way that the Librarian's armour is done, I'm not sure it kind of works as well as I was hoping, but you never know. I might actually just rub that off with isopropyl alcohol and get back to the base, and try again, but maybe I'll just leave it for now. It's one of those things. It's one of those things that really shows how diverse our hobby is, that we don't just have to play, we can paint as well, and then if we want to, we can take all the paint off and retry it. Always an option. So never think that you've ruined something, because you can strip it back and try again. But until next time, I hope you've enjoyed this. And if you have, remember to click that like button, share it with your friends so that they'll know how to play the game. And do subscribe for future videos, because there will be more in the future. If you can hear explosions outside, I'm not in a war in the grim dark future. It's bonfire night here, so 5th of November. That's how far ahead I record these. So there's a lot of fireworks going off. But like I say, until next time, I've been Zoe Kirk Robinson. You've been watching WarGame Hammer Wargaming. Take care and happy gaming. If you like the show, please consider supporting me on Patreon. It really does help create future videos. That's patreon.com/Zoe Kirk Robinson. And I've got an extra special thanks going out to Chief89, Sam Yates, Retro Mickey 82, Mo Henry, and George Botterini. Thank you so much, guys.